All right. Next on our agenda is what we call floor flipping.
What exactly is floor flipping, Jay?
Well, it's kind of catchy, isn't it, Amanda?
Yes, it is.
Right now, our current format, we have two floors that function a little bit differently. The way we're currently set up, the second floor has most of our Medicare patients on it. And our first floor has our longer term residents. And so we group them together purposely because it allows us to give better care. And the groupings also allow the residents to form better social groups and participate in similar activities. But one thing that when we talked about our good survey results and things like that, we want to continue making improvements. And this is one area that we feel like we need to make an improvement in. And it specifically has to do more with our long-term residents. And many of our long-term residents have dementia and or Alzheimer's. And so it becomes difficult. And they get into what we call wandering, where they sometimes have episodes of sundowning or feel like they're going out to meet their kids at the bus. And they become agitated and just for whatever reason maybe want to get out of the building, and that would be an unsafe environment. So currently the barriers, we have wander guard protection, but if they would get through our front doors, for example, they would be free and out of the building. And that's something that we don't want to have happen because we don't, if it goes unannounced, we'd be concerned. We do have a protective device, as I said, the wander guard system. But sometimes our residents can get pretty sly and go out with another resident that's going out with a family member. And if the family member doesn't know they're sneaking two people out instead of just the one, they can get out. And so that's what we're trying to really protect against. And so what we're proposing is to move the residents from the first floor to the second, and the second floor residents down to the first. So that will put our long-term residents on the second floor and give them a better, safer environment, because the second floor is also protected. They can't even go down the elevator without having the correct codes. So safety's behind it. That's what it's meant, and that's the big thing that we're trying to promote, is safety in the building for those residents that have a tendency to wander.
Now, is this a concern for all long-term residents in the building?
Well, no, not really, because not all of our residents at this point actually wander. But their condition could change. When they're first admitted, they might not have advanced dementia or that agitation. So it's something that could change after they've been here too. So it doesn't affect everybody, but it is a concern that we have for all of our long-term residents.
When will this start, this transition?
Well, we haven't really established a firm date just yet. We're looking to probably do it in the next 3 to 4 months. It's real important that we get this out to the residents and our staff alike and really discuss it and look at some of the things that we're concerned about. Some of our residents have been in their rooms for a real long time, and we understand that may not be easy for them to move. So one benefit that we have, though, in this building is that our first floor is almost identical to our second floor. And if you remember, probably the first couple times you came in the building, you might not have known what floor you were on. I know it's happened to me. It's kind of like I think I need to go downstairs, and I'm already downstairs. So our residents obviously have been here a long time, but they will be able to adapt easily if they had the same room on that floor. In other words, when you entered the hall, if it's the third room on the right, you know, if they become oriented, it will be very easy for them because they will leave the dining room and still go in the same direction. Now that's all assuming that we get, you know, like 100% cooperation and everybody agrees that on a certain date we'll switch the first floor with the second. And I feel that it would be relatively an easy thing.
Once this process has started, how long will it take to complete?
Approximately probably 4 to 6 weeks if we get everybody's cooperation. We wouldn't move the entire building at a time. We would break it up and just focus on one unit, probably just a half of a unit at a time, and make that change. Then we get everybody moved, we do the other half of the unit, and just kind of keep rotating through the building as we go.
Can I ask you a question?
We have a question, sure.
Okay, my mother is a long-term patient, but she's on the second floor. I want her to be stay on the second floor with all the other long-term patients, should they move up?
Yeah,
I don't have to change her room.
that's right. That's a very good question. Residents do currently move throughout the building based on how their conditions change, and we want to group them as we talked. So we do have moves all the time within the building from the first floor to the second floor. So it does happen. We just had the most recent one I just checked, and it went flawlessly. We had actually no issues at all. And in this case, we were really fortunate because we were able to give this resident the same room that they had on the second floor. We gave them that room on the first floor. So they transitioned very easily.
But my mother's on the second floor,
Yes.
in her room.
Yes.
I wouldn't want her moved out of that room if another patient
Right.
from the first floor had that room.
Exactly, and that's where it starts getting more complicated, obviously. And as conditions change, we would be moving residents too. Someone may come in on the floor and we would move them. In the case like what you're saying, your mom, you'd want her to be on that second floor for protective purposes, wherever the greatest protection is, and we would weigh those factors and try to work all those details out.
Okay.
It's obviously not going to be easy and
No.
to do. It's
It's gonna be hard.
It's
How
going to
about
be
the nursing
challenging.
staff, would they move too?
Great question. Would the nursing staff move? Yes. We feel very strongly here that continuity of care is what we're all about. So definitely the nursing staff will be moving along with the patients. So whatever staff has been caring for your loved one will continue to care for your loved one. And so, and then in your case, Mrs. Levy would be have to adjust a little bit. Yeah. But they do make adjustments now. But yes, that it would be a little difficult.
Tell me the difference in the care,
The difference in the care,
in
Well-
the long-term care area. What would be different
what would be different in the long-term
as
care?
opposed to what she's in now? She's on the second
Well,
floor.
one of the things, like right now, we do the activities on the first floor because that's where most of our long-term care residents are. Our Medicare patients are usually doing therapy and are not as interested in activities. So we'd like to get the activities moved up here to the second floor so that they'd be much more easy to access those activities. The care in general is, the environment in general is, we try to keep the floors a little calmer. They're not running through with therapists looking for the next patient. A quieter environment is what we would encourage. What else, Amanda?
The strongest benefit, of course, that I'm going to say is having the activities right there. If they need something to do, if they're bored or if they're anxious about something, we've always got something going on that they can keep busy with. But like Jay said, it's a much calmer environment. There's not as much hustle and bustle. There's not people running in and out. It's very calm.
The other thing that we already did in anticipating this move was to move Amanda's office upstairs. So she's already made the move so that she'll be close to the activity area and the residents that eventually will get here. So it's a little inconvenient for her right now because she's kind of running up and down stairs, and her storage area isn't in the best spot. So she's struggling a little bit now, but we'll get through this.
Yeah, I'm just getting exercise, that's all. So what happens if a resident does not want to move?
They have the right to remain in their room, by all means. That's their personal decision, and in no way should they feel like they have to move. We'd like them to move. We're encouraging that because we feel it's in their best interest, but in no way do they have to move. It's completely their decision.
Are there any other advantages to this move?
Yes, actually, I feel like there are some advantages to the move, other than just what we talked about for the security and the safety, and that's the #1 reason. But the other advantage is, unfortunately, we're in an area that has hurricanes. And one of our first steps to evacuate, not a complete evacuation of the building, but if we had to prepare for a hurricane and had storm surge coming our way, the first move that we would make would be take all of our first floor residents and move them to the hallways of the second floor. And in the case of long-term patients and dementia, they get easily disoriented. So if we put them in a hallway, it would be difficult for them, already kind of in a crisis mode with a hurricane approaching or upon us, they'd have to deal with that. So in this case, it's an advantage that they'll already be in place in their rooms, settled in, and you know, for them, life will kind of just be hopefully as quiet as possible. They're not making adjustments in a moment of crisis. So that's another little bit of advantage that we see that we could get out of this.
How do you think this information will be received by residents and families listening at home?
I think it'll be really mixed. Those that don't have a wander concern for their loved one will probably not embrace it real well. Hopefully through this explanation they'll understand better why we're doing it and understand that, you know, it could be something that their loved ones faced in the future, maybe not. I think those that do have wander risks and concern will really be behind it and understanding and really be for it. I think it'll be a positive.
I guess that's where I'm at. It's like whether my husband wants to move or not, I would like to have him move.
Okay.
Because he does his best.
Yeah. I'm just repeating
wander.
Mrs. Olson's comment was she feels that her husband would this would be best for him. And she really views that as the way that way we should go with Mr. Olson.
You bet.
Yeah.
And I'll help persuade him.
Great.
Good.
Great. Also, I haven't spoken to dietary, but I believe that our dietary staff would also come with the residents. So, when the same people that would be serving them in the dining room, they'd see those same familiar faces. So, we're really working hard to make this as smooth as possible and so that they feel comfortable the first day that they're here.
Well, Lau will be happy with that because he's about to adopt about at least 2 of those.
He really likes the dietary aids.
Oh yeah, he got invited to somebody's graduation.
Oh, that's great.
That's wonderful. Okay, I think we're getting close to our break. Are there any more questions about that we should take now? Okay, very good. We'll take a quick break here and we'll be right back to close it out.